Father Cahirley, and I welcome the opportunity. I thank the Minister actually for staying in the chamber for the duration of the debate. I think it's very important, and we're having this debate in the context of from November 18 onwards to February 24, we've had 22 incidents of arson, and nobody has been convicted. Now, I welcome what the Minister said in her speech in relation to the guards taking an active approach, and some people have been arrested. But actually, from November 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, no convictions. And so we just we gave a free rein, really, to the idea that a building can be burnt down. And I absolutely deplore it. I'm going to go on and talk about asylum seekers and the deliberate blurring of words, immigration, asylum seekers, refugees, and it's very important not to do that. But before I do that, I have no hesitation in absolutely condemning arson. And I'm from a city in Galway where I described a meeting in Oughterard a few years ago as the worst of my life in relation to a proposal to move in asylum seekers into a hotel. And then we had the latest burning down in Ross Lake. I was of the opinion that that building wasn't suitable in any event, but there was absolutely no justification. And indeed, when we got notification from the Minister at I think approximately 10 to 4 on a Friday, I understand a barricade and other items were erected within an hour of that. Nobody emailed my office, nobody sought to talk to me as a representative in relation to their concerns. And I have an open office and would have been happy to listen to any of their concerns in relation to the lack of integration, not in relation to single men being a danger. I think it's a very dangerous narrative. And Minister, I think you and the government should put it to bed. I've only to think of the horrible domestic violence figures that we're looking at month after month. I can think of many other examples, and yet we choose to allow this narrative to go on about young men being dangerous. In relation to the asylum seekers, I think it's important. Asylum seekers are fleeing war and persecution. They make treacherous, unsafe, lengthy journeys at a terrible personal cost. According to the International Organization for Migrants, I've left my glasses outside, so I'm attempting to read, 29,087 people, 29,087 people have died or gone missing alone in the Mediterranean, alone in that. And I have said on record, I don't think I could ever swim in the Mediterranean again, because we're standing idly by while the bodies pile up somewhere in the Mediterranean. And then if we move on to how many people have actually been displaced, 110 million people displaced worldwide. 43.3 million were children, our children. 43.3 million are children, and so on. Due to wars, due to conflict, climate change, and for many other reasons. And then we have a system in Ireland, direct provision, that was supposed to be temporary, brought in 2000 as a temporary provision. I said on the public accounts, I was never impressed with the Department of Justice coming before me at the time, and utterly unprepared to change the system that was to be a temporary system. And so we had Judge Mahan's report with all his recommendations, followed then by Catherine Connolly, which produced a very good report. The one flaw in that report was that they said the solution was housing in the community, which was never going to happen, because the report was published in the middle of a housing crisis. That has intensified ever since. Following that, we got the very welcome white paper, which said we will stop direct provision by 2024. 2 years before that, we will gradually lead into that, and we will not have direct provision. We will construct centres where we can house asylum seekers, deal with the applications quickly and swiftly, and move on. That has never happened. And indeed, I think we have almost 6,000. So, and again, just to put in perspective, we have approximately 26,000 people seeking asylum in Ireland, separate from the Ukrainian refugees, or whatever name we give them. We have 26,000 asylum seekers, that's all. If this country cannot cope with 26,000 asylum seekers, we're totally lost. And within that number, 6,000 approximately have status and have no place to go. And then we have the people from the Ukraine who were openly welcomed by Irish people, but the government in its wisdom decided to have a two-tier system. So we treated the refugees from, or the people from the Ukraine fleeing the illegal war and invasion of Russia, being treated utterly different, and allowed a narrative to develop. Ukrainian people fleeing from war, good; people fleeing from other countries, not so good, and with less money, less respect, and leaving over 6,000 almost locked up, really, without nowhere to go after they got their status. What time am I finishing for, is it? Thank you. So, the two-tier system is absolutely appalling. I know it's going to stop now, but a huge amount of damage, Minister, has been done by that two-tier system. And I live in a city where we have 2 direct provision centres. The privatisation of that for profit has led to millionaires making a profit on taxpayers' money. And it has stymied the integration of those who are dying to work. And then we have the confusion with immigrants. This country has been kept going with immigrants, working in everywhere from the hospitals to the retail sector. And we shouldn't be confusing all of these words. It is wrong, it is dangerous.